Hey Spectrum, it's Ellie.
And Preston. Welcome back to Noise News.
We are so excited to be here, as well as to share some exciting stories and segments we have for you.
But before we get to those, we have a few announcements.
That's right, Preston.
Freshmen, be ready to take the PSAT on its rescheduled date on February 22nd at 8 o'clock.
Make sure you get there by 7:30 for check-in. One final date for you to remember is Monday, March 15th for the spring sports meeting.
Don't forget your masks and distancing. We'll see you athletes there.
Alright, now that we got those announcements out of the way, I believe Joe has some news about the weather to share with us.
Yay, let's check it out.
Welcome back for another week of weather. Before I get started, let's go to our Florida correspondent for the Florida weather. Take it away, Jacob.
Hey Joe, the thing I like most about Florida is...
Aw, thanks, Jacob. Big shout out to our producer, Zach, who's hard at work producing the show. Now for the forecast. Today, since we have a shortened week due to President's Day and a teacher workday, we're only going to see about 3 days of weather for you, Sting. So, about Wednesday through Friday, and even Saturday and Sunday, we're going to continue to warm up, with Friday and the weekend going up to temperatures as high as 32 degrees. Well, that was another week of weather for you, Sting. Back to you, Preston and Ellie.
Hey Spectrum, Isaac Bengtson here with some sports for this week, so let's get straight into it. There are no sports for today, but tomorrow, the 18th, wrestling JV and varsity have games against St. Agnes at 5 and 6, but the bus leaves at 2:45. Varsity alpine skiing has a meet against Blaine at 6:30 at Wild Mountain. Boys basketball C team, JV and varsity has games against West Lutheran at 4, 5:30, and 7. On Friday, middle school boys wrestling has a meet here at Spectrum, and JV and varsity also do at 5. Girls middle school basketball has a game at 5:15 at Lester Prairie, and girls JV varsity basketball have games here at 5:30 and 7 against Legacy. No meets or games over the weekend. Thanks for tuning in, Spectrum.
Speaking of sports, did you catch the Super Bowl last weekend?
I did. My favorite part was that sick halftime show.
I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Don't worry, we have a story about it to catch you up.
Awesome. Let's take a look.
The Super Bowl is a great American tradition that we even continued to do through a pandemic. A lot of people were excited for this one, with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going head-to-head. Now that we know the final score, with a 31-9 win for the Buccaneers, let's see what some people thought about the game and who deserved to win.
I think the Chiefs should have won. Overall, the Buccaneers defense just destroyed them, and that's why they only had 9 points at the end of it. So,
well, I think if everybody was healthy, I think the Chiefs would have won the Super Bowl, actually. Tom Brady's probably pretty clearly the greatest quarterback of all time, but Patrick Mahomes might be the most talented. It's fun to watch both of them, and it was a great season. So, good end to a good season.
I don't even know what teams were playing.
Definitely Tampa, in Tampa. You can't beat that.
I thought that the Chiefs were going to win, Kansas City, but then I found out Tom Brady was on the other team, and then after that I was like, well, there goes my chances.
Tom Brady and Gronk.
Yeah, that's as soon as I saw 2 seconds of it when I got home from work that day, and I saw Gronk with the touchdown, and I was like, that's over. The Chiefs are not going to win that.
The Buccaneers.
Any other thoughts?
No.
So all in total, out of the people that we interviewed, we have 3 for the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 for the Buccaneers, and 1 who has no clue.
Now with one of the earliest American traditions over with, we can now finally look forward to the rest of 2021 and the 2022 Super Bowl next year. This has been Joe, Preston, and Ryan, Noise News.
That was a great story. It looks like I missed a lot.
You sure did. On another note, social distancing and distance learning has changed a lot of things in our lives.
You may have trouble focusing or even trouble feeling happy from the things you used to enjoy.
Taking care of your mental health is important all the time, but more especially now.
Let's take a look at this story to learn more.
Every year, thousands of people are diagnosed with depression in the United States.
Like depression, to make it as simple as possible, is caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain, which can be genetic, which can be come from things in your past like trauma, There are certain things that make it more likely for you to suffer from what we would call clinical depression.
Especially today, teens and young adults are diagnosed with a type of situational depression.
I mean, I think today we're all kind of going through what some people call situational depression, which is when you're going through a stressful event, which for all of us is this COVID pandemic. But we've all experienced different changes. You guys as students have gone through 3 different learning models in less than a year, whereas we've all only had the one traditional model for most of us. So I think we're all kind of feeling a little bit different.
Depression itself can have many effects.
So there's a lot of different sort of like more mental and physical signs of depression. The more common ones being feelings of like sadness and emptiness, like the obvious one for depression. But it can also cause like fatigue, always feeling tired, insomnia, not being able to fall asleep at night or stay asleep at night. And then like the ones that we just don't physically feel, depression affects memory. You can have a harder time memorizing things. You can have a harder time making decisions. And the more physical, deep-rooted physical ones, you could have high blood pressure, risk of heart attack, things like that if depression goes on long enough, even in young teens and adults.
Coach Gagne, who has been diagnosed with seasonal depression, uses many different remedies for his depression.
And a couple of different ways to not only cope with seasonal depression but depression in general. One, find somebody to talk to, like get help, talk to a counselor, go to a therapy, talk with a trusted friend about the things that you're feeling. 2, find things that you enjoy doing, like find things that you have enjoyment in, do those things more often than just sitting around doing nothing. 3, I know a lot of people probably aren't going to appreciate this, but exercise is a proven way to help depression and sort of help get past that, as well as maintaining a healthy, balanced diet. Those 2 things are huge at monitoring depression. And for seasonal, because it's dark from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., they make like these artificial happy lights that you can have. They're called therapy lights. They're relatively cheap. You can find them on Amazon. So if you're one of those people that hates the dark, therapy lights are amazing for the winter if you're struggling, especially being cooped up inside all day, every day, given the current circumstances. That might be a little day booster for you.
One thing to note is that depression is a normal occurrence that can be healed.
Mental health is no worse than if you broke your leg, right? And we wouldn't say like, oh, that person's different, or they're not as good because they broke their leg. They broke their leg. If you struggle with mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, or a number of different things, it's totally normal. And those kind of things work hand in hand, mental and physical health.
Much like any other sickness or injury, there are ways to heal depression.
It's really important to start having those conversations, or if you have a friend and you're just noticing that they feel really sad or withdrawn, you're a little bit worried about them, that's somewhere where you can come talk to us. We abide by the code of confidentiality, so we will not ever tell anybody anything outside of this room unless you give us permission, or we think that or you say that you're gonna hurt someone, or you're gonna hurt yourself, or someone is hurting you.
If you are more comfortable with talking about depression with someone your own age, that is also a great method to treat depression.
If you're feeling comfortable talking with a friend, go ahead and do that. The big thing is when we're caring people, and I know a lot of us really care for our friends, but we have to be careful to also take care of ourselves, right? So if someone's really, really struggling, it's important to talk to a trusted adult, like a counselor. So if a friend comes to you and you're like, my friend is going through a lot of things right now. I don't know how to talk to them. There are things that we can kind of talk through to support them. The biggest thing that you can do for someone who's struggling with mental health is to be there and to support them and to show what we call unconditional positive regard.
All in all, depression is a normal condition that can be talked about and treated. This has been Ben and Joe, Noise News.
Thanks for that story, you two.
All of us on the Noise crew want you to be happy and healthy. If you're struggling, please reach out to a trusted adult one of our wonderful counselors, a teacher, or a friend.
We are still all in this together.
And that concludes our show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
This has been Preston.
And Ellie, keeping you in on the noise.